All right, we are live. All right, welcome back, folks. A little bit before 11. We are joined by Mimi Eads, the president of the Distilled Spirits Council of Vermont. And this is discussion in and around the bill that I spoke to earlier that has yet to receive a bill number. But it is under Tucker Anderson's name, alcohol bill pre-introduction draft. So we'll discuss this, the words on the page deeper with council later, but I wanted to offer Mimi the opportunity to speak to the bill as a stakeholder and advocate of the ones on the page. Good to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. The two items in this draft bill, I think, are relatively uncontroversial, and they speak to two problems that the Distilled Spirits Council has in the state. One, I'm sure you know that there's now a electronic portal for the DLL where we submit for licenses and that kind of things. Well, if you want to do a tasting in an agency store, so an 802 spirit store, the portal will not let you apply for that if it's within 5 business days of the event. And that was really a holdover from the days where it was all paper. But the department turns them around very quickly now since it's all electronic. And we're asking that the language be changed to say at least 1 business day. And we're fully aware that there are times when the department will not be able to turn over permits that quickly. But for the most part, they've been doing them within 2 to 3 days. And that's really just because, especially around the holidays, there's a lot of scheduling changes. So if I went into Yankee Spirits, for example, today, and they said, oh yeah, we have an opening, you could do a tasting on Saturday. As it stands right now, I couldn't get that permit speak. So that's one change that we're asking for. And as far as I know, the Department of Liquor doesn't have any objections to that. So that's one of the items. The other problem that we have right now, we can only sell other Vermont alcohol products at one of our class 4 license locations. And that's great. But I think in the past number of years, everybody knows that staffing has been a real issue with Vermont businesses. And so as much as I would love to open more tasting rooms in other parts of the state and increase our presence in other areas, it's very difficult. I feel like it's more difficult than ever to do that just because we can't staff them. So how do we get our products in front of more people, especially tourists? There's 80 agency stores in the state, but I would say that most tourists aren't going into agency stores if they even understand how the system works in Vermont. Maybe if it's attached to a grocery store, they are. So that leaves our tasting rooms and establishments to kind of get the word out about our products. So we would love to be able to sell other Vermont manufacturers' products in more locations. And that could kind of open it up to be able to have, let's say we wanted to do a Distilled Spirits Council of Vermont store. It would be under one person's license, and then we could sell multiple products from other Vermont manufacturers. Or let's say we wanted to do something in the airport. Mad River Distillers already does this at one of our locations. We don't make vodka or gin. So it's really nice to be able to highlight Bar Hills, which is very local to us in the Mad River Valley, at one of our tasting rooms. But I can't also do that at our store in Burlington because I'm only allowed to use 1 license. So the idea here is to open it up to multiple class 4s so that we can highlight and kind of tag team with other Vermont producers, if that makes sense.
Representative Pango has a hand.
Yeah, I had 2 questions. The first on the DLL portal issue, what will be the expectation from the industry if the agency is not able to fulfill the request within that 1-day period? Will there be people that are counting on it at the holiday season, for instance? and see it in writing and say, well, you didn't get back to me within that one day, we missed the opportunity.
I think that there is I mean, the way it works now, for regular permits, they go to the town first and then they go to the DLL. For agency tastings, they go right to the DLL. Usually we just pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, did you notice this permit? And in this case, they might say, oh, if somebody's on vacation or they're not there and they can't turn it around. I mean, I don't see that as a problem, especially when you're doing something last minute. We all know that we're at the mercy of either the town or the DLL schedule. I don't know if there's a way to put language in there that says something like, if at all possible, or you know what I mean?
I think that's called, but I don't know, I'll defer to council if practicable. I think that's the word, but we can talk about that with council, because I just don't want this to look like this is the statute. It has to be.
It has to be done.
Yeah. My other question is just a clarification probably. So with the other proposed change, it's all about location. It's not about product, the change in quantity. Right?
It's about, well, so the current statute says at only one fourth class license. So that's the location. And then the part 2 says a manufacturer or rectifier may sell its product to no more than 5 additional manufacturers.
Okay, so it is about.
Yeah, so there is, and I mean, I think that that's fine. I think it would be nice if there wasn't a restriction, so we could sell more than that. I don't think a lot of people will do this, but I think it's nice to have the option. For example, if we wanted to do a collective tasting room, something like that.
Any other comments from you?
I'm just going to further clarify, with the second instance.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be 10 locations with any number of manufacturers represented at that tasting location. Is that?
Yes.
You're going with?
Yes, so at up to 10 fourth class license locations, and then may sell alcoholic beverages produced by any Vermont manufacturers or rectifiers. And then part 2, you could either strike out part 2 or change it to a manufacturer or rectifier may sell its product to any Vermont manufacturer or rectifier. I think the priority here is really just the first part at up to 10. I think the second part is nice, but kind of a wish list item that I don't think it's that controversial, but it could be helpful in the future.
And
you're referring to section 2?
Yes.
I guess I'm just remembering back years ago to the conversations that we experienced in other committee when this all came up, that there was concern about the number of locations and the number of products offered. It was very, very restrictive at that time.
Yes.
The climate was very restrictive at that time.
Yeah.
And this seems to be opening up a lot.
I think we're just having the industry as a whole needs to get our products in front of more people. And I think that tasting rooms are great, but they're very expensive to operate and staff. So being able to tag on to other people's existing tasting rooms is really, that's the goal of the opening this up.
Okay. Any other questions for me right now? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
For joining us in person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
And we will pivot over to council. Hi, council.
Good morning, Tucker Anderson, Legislative Council. Happy to be here to talk about some of the proposals that you've just heard. And has the committee seen a copy of the draft of some of this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I will
Discussing, yes.
work directly off of that. And Nick, I asked for permission to share my screen just so that we could take a look at the underlying statute. So I can flag some things about some of the broader scope of the work that the committee is doing within the fourth class license structure, some of the proposals that you've heard, and how they might interplay with each other if you were to fold all of them into a miscellaneous alcoholic beverages bill at some point this session.
I love that as a work exercise. Thank you.
Exercise. My least favorite form of exercise.
This is subject matter specific.
Let's see if I'm sharing the right thing here. It looks like it. The fourth class licenses. So you've already heard a little spiel from me on what this section of law covers. In general, you can think of this as manufacturer tasting rooms and also licenses for farmers market locations. There are service limitations depending on the type of fourth class license that is being issued. Something to keep an eye on because one of the proposals that you have heard so far this session is to increase the serving size limitations within this section of law. That paired with an expansion of the number of locations and the possibility of allowing more than just the manufacturer's products at an increasing number of these locations starts to cross over into what is the substantive difference between fourth class license locations and the other licenses that you have in Title VII. And specifically, just because you're talking about distilled spirits this morning, what would the difference be between a fourth class license location that is not contiguous with the manufacturer's manufacturing location, where they serve not only their own beverages, but other distilled spirits manufacturers' beverages in larger serving sizes, and a third class standalone license? An important question to ask because the fee difference for the Department of Liquor and Lottery and the state is about $1,000. So taking a look at section 224 very quickly, currently an applicant can receive up to 20 fourth class licenses, provided that they pay the fee, which is $70 for each one of those, and an application. At each location, the licensee can serve by unopened container or distribute by the glass alcoholic beverages that the manufacturer has produced. Not more than 2 ounces if it's malt, vinous, or RTDs, with a total of 8 ounces to an individual customer. And for purposes of distilled spirits manufacturers, no more than 1/4 ounce of spirits or fortified wine with a total of 1 ounce. So that's a 1/4 ounce per drink, no more than 1 ounce served to each customer. However, move on through this. If it is contiguous with the manufacturing premises, the license can distribute by the glass up to 4 mixed drinks containing a combined total of no more than 1 ounce of spirits or fortified wines to each retail customer on the licensed premises. Right, now we move into some of the language that you see in Representative Boyden's proposal in section 1, which is to amend subdivision C1 to allow at not more than 10 is the proposal in the draft. In current law, it's not more than 1 licensed location a manufacturer may sell by the unopened container or distribute by the glass with or without charge alcoholic beverages produced by no more than 5 additional manufacturers or rectifiers. The section goes on to amend subdivision C2 to allow manufacturers to sell its product to any Vermont manufacturers or rectifiers. It broadens the distribution pool for purposes of these tasting rooms and tasting locations at farmers markets. All right. Fourth class license locations that are issued for farmers markets shall be valid for all dates for the specific farmers market location. And then we get into rules, signs, DLL administrative material. So the One thing that I wanted to flag was just as you move forward with this, I flag at every session, biennium, that the committees of jurisdiction take a look at overlapping proposals within the licensing sections, is just to look at the differences between first, third, fourth, and then some of the permits that manufacturers can pull and make informed policy decisions about what the distinctions between those license categories are. There are differences in the fees that may become important from an administrative perspective that DLL may testify about. And then there are just important policy distinctions that you all may want to make between the availability and saturation for alcoholic beverages within the space. The other section within the Representative Boyden proposal proposes to amend 7 VSA section 255. And I apologize for being late. It sounds like you heard about this first before I got here. It proposes to amend the retail alcoholic beverage tasting permit statute to require only 1 day of notice prior to scheduling the date for that retail tasting permit.
Representative Boyden.
I just want to clarify that that is supposed to be one business day.
Instead of just a day is a day is a day, unless it's a business day.
Work exercise.
Thank you for that. I got shot my brain in many different directions of what we're dealing with in this building these days. So yeah, one of the other things we were discussing when we were on break in between the previous and this one was, and I think it was Rep. Waters Evans who was taught speaking. You want to speak to what we were talking about, just as sort of like an educational format, or I can.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I don't mind. I'll just ask, Tucker, the question that I asked you, which is, you're talking about the 3 tiers,
Yeah, yeah.
right? My original question was, why? I mean, why, specifically relating to the testimony that we just heard about how difficult it is for the small craft brewers to distribute these things. I was just wondering, I understand the general concept of the 3-tier system, but I guess why this particular hardship is, or it's not a hardship. I mean, it was a hardship for that, but why these restrictions exist for like such small businesses?
That is an incredibly complex and deep question to ask.
Okay.
Sure.
Just kidding. We can talk about this another time, but I was just,
A forthcoming immersive exercise.
yeah. Should I narrow my question? What was?
Yeah,
I don't know. Let's let him,
it?
let's just let him go right now for a moment. He was looking
Okay.
for the green books,
Okay.
which I respect.
2016, 2017, when I started, every single committee room had a copy of Towards Liquor Control in the room. And especially the House General Committee at the time had, in fact, a stack of them, and they used to get passed out to all the members. So my short, glib answer is that Vermont decided to be a liquor control state. And some of the issues that were being addressed at the time related to organized crime, the illicit alcoholic beverages market, and the desire to not have a fully integrated system of manufacture, distribution, sale, and consumption of alcoholic beverages. And the way that Vermont's system developed over time was confronting issues around inducement of alcoholic beverage consumption, and the full integration of what were formerly, at least during Prohibition, criminal enterprises. Over time, that developed into a public safety model that has persisted to this day. There is nothing in the Vermont Constitution, definitely nothing in the United States Constitution that compels the state to follow this model. It is entirely a policy choice that has persisted since Prohibition into the modern era. And there are a ton of really great materials that were produced by Damian Leonard, my predecessor in this particular portfolio, around the time that the Title VII rewrite happened, breaking down the 3-tier system, some of the historical precedent for it, and even providing some charts to show you where in Title VII the three-tier system is broken out. And I'd be happy to dig all those materials up and send them to you, but hopefully that's a good, concise, precise, specific, and profound answer to the question.
Perfect, thank you. That wasn't that long. And I can dig them up first, and if I have trouble, I'll ask you.
I have the wonderful DM machine, the document management machine, so I can get all the codes and send them to you.
Okay, cool, thank you. Just didn't want to give you more stuff to do. Thank you.
You know, like the presentations that council has been building for a decade plus now are materials that are quickly.
And before this lovely committee room and bathrooms replaced my office, we had posters.
The bathroom specifically.
Three-tier presentation, and the former committee rooms also had those posters on the wall, but in the move, they were ripped down and shredded or burned in the parking lot, packed into boxes and sent down the river.
We're at Payo.
We have made the request to DLL to at least get a poster of the 4 licenses and what they are in a very concise form, and they are working on it.
I will now send you all the charts that I have because I know that previously you asked about fortified wines, and I promised I will send you a chart we made for the Senate that breaks out all the various beverages that fall within
Great.
the fortified wine design and what some of those fortified wines are classified as if they don't fall within that, which is generally they're all considered spirits if they're not considered fortified wines. But
Thank you. My intent was to hang the chart on our new bulletin board, but it's getting
Yeah, it's already
quite
full.
full.
Yeah.
So we may need a 3rd bulletin board.
sorry about that. I typed so fast.
It's like a third one, working with 3 tiers, 3 boards.
Right.
Something a numeric pattern. So my suggestion perhaps, if we are gonna archive a lot of this sort of like existing information, could we perhaps do it in the same way that we have a share folder with charter work?
Absolutely. I'll set up a SharePoint.
That sounds like a
Yeah.
great way for us to archive this for quick and easy access. Yes.
Post it under my name for the committee information page so that the public has it as well, if that is what you want.
Thank you.
That sounds like a fabulous idea.
Great.
Just such an interesting, like, philosophical concept to say we are trying to prevent too much of something, but at the same time, like, allow more of the same thing. in
Marketing,
certain
promotion and
avenues.
sale for the
I know.
revenues of the state and also commerce within our business systems.
Yeah.
Yes, no, it is an interesting balance.
Interesting trade though.
With all the vices, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the history too, of like why this structure exists once you start mining into it is like pretty fascinating also. Because you're going through so many different eras of policy, public engagement, public opinion, pro, con, indifferent. Yes, it's really historically kind of mesmerizing, at least for me. Questions for council for the words on the page?
No. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely gonna have some, we're gonna take more testimony on this stuff. I'm definitely understanding as to like why these are being proposed. So we're gonna dive into some history, some as to why with the system. And then we'll take more testimony on this stuff as we build our miscellaneous alcohol bill. Anything further? We got a guests in the gallery, so if you want to fire away a question to a guest, now's your time. If not, we will do a little study hall time before our lunch. Okay, that's a wrap for the morning.